Hey everybody, welcome to another tarot Q&A. I'm a couple minutes early, but I was all set up and ready to go, and so I decided to start the video. So I'm just doing this part for the replay. Usually I dance a little, drink my coffee, wait for people to come in, and we're gonna have a nice little live. It's been about a week and a half since I was able to go live. Been pretty busy. Hey, Catherine, welcome. For those of you that are joining, let me know if this is the first time you guys have been to one of these sessions, and I'll kind of go over how they run and how they go. I've done so many of them. How is everybody doing tonight? What are you guys all up to besides hanging out with me on a Friday night, learning about tarot? Cool, first time, awesome. So how these work is we generally like start up discussions. Hey, Darren. We generally start up discussions about tarot. You can ask whatever questions you have. Sometimes I go through the questions that people left either on the event or on my post, but nobody did that. So you guys are it tonight. You have to all ask questions. My comments load funny on my computer, so it takes me a minute to get to them. But ask your questions, drop your questions. If I don't get to it, I will. I kind of do them all in order as much as I can. If I don't know the answer, maybe somebody in the audience knows the answer. So feel free to chime in if you know something better than me. Please go ahead. Hey, Antoinette, welcome. Hi, Chloe. What are your curse faces for? I'm just going to laugh at them. Chloe always puts mad reactions so that I think people are mad at me doing my live. All right, so we got about 7 people. So why don't you guys that are here for the first time ask some questions. What kinds of things do you what kinds of things are you struggling with when you're learning tarot? What kinds of problems have you come up against? Or what kinds of things do you just want to know more about that maybe I can help you with? Thank you, Chloe. You know I need the laughs today. Hey, Ashley. What have I learned in tarot since my last live video? I learned a lot of history because I'm reading that Robert Place book. So history is something I don't know anything. Like, I can't keep dates straight in my head. This is why I was terrible at social studies in high school. So it really kind of ordered everything nice and neatly for me. So I've been learning a lot of history. Tarot history. I have a giant coffee, so by the time I'm done with it, I'll talk even faster. Go ahead, Darren. Don't you want to ask your favorite question? It's a big fucking coffee. My roommate from many years ago bought me this mug. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it says no coffee, no worky. And that is how I drink coffee. Hey, Naya. Hey, Lisa. Welcome, welcome. Oh, yeah. When will you find your twin flame? Never. She burned out. Hey, baby. You know, it's really funny. My son and I call each other Bebe. Oh, Alicia, I'm just picking on him. Don't feel bad for him at all. Ashley asks, how long did you practice tarot alone before you began reading for others? And how did you transition into reading for others? Okay, so I had no idea when I started reading tarot that you could read for yourself, that you would read for yourself. And so I started out actually reading for my friends and my family. So I didn't know any better, and I didn't know any better to then reading reversals or doing anything that I didn't know anything because there was nothing to know. There was no internet to look those things up. And so I just did what I thought I was supposed to do. So my answer for if you're looking for an idea about when you can do that for yourself is just do it when you're comfortable. Tarot Nerds is a great place to just offer a few free readings or do a reading exchange and see if you like it. You may not even like it. I know people who don't read for other people at all. They only read for themselves. So it doesn't have to be any one or the other. There's no set time. Just do it when you're comfortable. Try it out. See if you like it. See if it's for you. Or see if you feel like you might need some more time before you get there. That's a possibility too. So I hope that answered your question. As always, so I don't say this a million times because I know I repeat myself. If I didn't answer your question and you guys need more info, just comment me. Let me know. Are you really doing readings for the first time for other people, Darren? Oh, that's right. Yes, you are. How do you do it? I don't know. Make some shit up. No, I'm just kidding. Just trust it. You know what they're about. You know what the cards are about. You've been studying it for a really long time. Just don't overthink it. Just do it. And sometimes when you're looking at a card and it says something and you know what it's supposed to mean, sometimes it doesn't mean that. Trust that feeling. You know, go with what you know, and you know a lot, so you can you can rely on it. It's okay. Don't be afraid. Don't overthink it. That's my I didn't realize you were going to be reading for other people. I thought you were just getting a reading. Chloe says, can we have another sample 3-card deal? I find your explanations of how those cards relate to the center one really helpful. Sure, I will certainly do that. And Darren, I know I was just joking. Don't make shit up. But you know a lot. You can do a I have confidence that you can do a reading. You know enough. Hi Tony. If I say your name wrong, please let me know. Chloe, yes, I will do. I'll do a 3-card reading, but I'll do it towards the end when we're all getting tired and we need something to keep us awake. Yeah, Naya is absolutely correct. Say what you see on the cards. You know, if you get stuck, we talk about the tarot toolkit all the time. You read what Susie says and all the time, you know, go through all of the things you know. What do you remember about the astrology of that card? What do you remember about the Kabbalah of that card? What do you remember about the numerology? And failing all of those things, how do the colors make you feel? What are the pictures saying to you? What do the pictures remind you of? What are the people in the cards doing? Failing all of that, you can rely on your own visual senses, your own gut feelings, and you'll do just fine. You know enough. Hey, Caitlin. Chloe says, choose a deck I feel comfortable with. I've got my Thoth right here, so I'll probably use that for the 3-card because I like that. Oh, yeah, Pimp the Tabula Mundi. Okay. I'm a little behind in comments, guys. You guys you're loading them in, and I love it. So I'm going to read through the questions as they come up or as I see them. So if I don't see your questions, just keep commenting. Shaylee, if I said your name wrong, let me know. But she says, I asked to read for a few open-minded friends and didn't realize so many would jump on it. It's something I do in my free time, and now I'm overwhelmed with it all because I'm so far behind. How do I handle it? The best way to handle that, my dear, is boundaries. If people are asking you for readings, say, listen, I don't have time right now. I'll get to you when I can. How about I let you know when I'm free? Or, if you are not in a place where you want to do this professionally, or because that's not the goal, everybody. It is not the goal to take money for readings. You don't have to do that. But maybe you can offer a trade. Say, hey, can you watch my kid for an hour? I'll give you a reading. No problem. I got to run to the store and grab some milk. Whatever it is. I don't know your situation, but having a clear boundary and making people realize that it is a skill that you have. Not only is it a skill you have, but it takes your time and it takes your energy, will help you not become so overwhelmed. If you've already said yes and you're like me, you feel bad if you don't finish those up, right? So maybe after this, setting a clear boundary and just letting them know that sometimes you don't have time. Or explaining to them, a lot of people don't realize, they think it's just you're looking at pictures. They don't realize it saps your energy. They don't realize that it makes you hungry, it makes you tired, or it could do any mixture of those kinds of things. So maybe just explaining that to them. If they're close friends, they may understand. So I hope, Shaylee, that answers your question. Let me know if it doesn't, and I'll keep going. Mandy. Hello, Mandy. Mandy asks, I'm certified with tarot, but I can't get past the fear of coming out and also fears of being wrong. What do you suggest to come out of my shell? Practice, 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 practice here, practice on your friends, practice to yourself, practice while you're watching TV, practice. Listen, you're going to be wrong. It happens. I've been reading for 23 years and I'm wrong sometimes. Or sometimes I don't see things quite the right way. It happens. But my answer to you is pretty much exactly what my answer to Darren just was. Trust on what you know. If you've been certified, you've been through a course for tarot, you've learned a lot of things about tarot, trust what you know. Put together all of the different little pieces of knowledge that you've gathered. Use your intuition, use your gut feeling. That's really important. And then failing all of that, look at the cards and see what they're saying. But practice is really the only way that you get comfortable with the language that you use when you read tarot, because it is a language, right? It's a way of speaking and a way of seeing and putting those things together and getting your brain to work with your mouth and putting it out there, and putting that intuition into that and putting it out is it's a language we need to learn to speak. Lots of times people don't use that in the same way that you do when you read tarot. So practice, keep practicing, even if it's just you pulling a card and writing it down, or reading for unsolved mysteries, whatever it is, just keep doing it. And eventually that fear goes away. It never totally goes away, because like I said, I still get that. Like sometimes I'll sit down to a reading and be like, what if I tell them the wrong thing? You have to kind of have some guidelines and say, hey, listen, I'm not always right. I always tell people I'm not psychic. I don't know everything. I'm going to read these cards to the best of my ability and tell you what I can see. And a lot of times, here's another thing that I do. I always ask if I'm with the person, or if I'm conversing over Messenger or video chat when I'm doing a reading. I say, is this resonating? Does this make sense to you? If it doesn't, let me know, or tell me what parts make sense so that I can kind of maybe shift my feeling in a different way. So that helps me too. Mandy, I hope that answered your question. Let me know if it didn't. Oh my God, there's so many comments, guys. I love you. Mandy, you don't have to ever learn the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. I didn't start liking it until this year, and now I've collected every copy I can. I used to hate it. use the deck that works for you. I won't say use tarot, or I won't say use Oracle over tarot, only because I prefer tarot. And this is a tarot group, so I got to keep it on topic. But do what works for you. You don't have to learn anything. You can learn techniques that are geared towards the Rider Tarot, that you can use with any other deck or a deck that's based on it. You don't have to use that specific imagery if it doesn't speak to you. There's no rules. No rules. Darren says, yeah, I think I'm going to be all right. I think you'll be all right. Shaylee, I said it right. Good. I don't always get them right. Sometimes I do. Okay. Caitlin. So Caitlin asks, what are some pointers for reading for yourself in an objective way? Write every damn thing down. Write down the deck, write down the cards, write down the time of day, whatever you want, but write everything down. And one of the things that I do to stay objective is, and this is something that I teach my students all the time, is I made my own little white book. This book has all of the meanings that I kind of typically use. It's not everything, obviously, but because it's a tiny book. But I have written down for every card meanings that usually come up for me. And so I will, if I get stuck or I'm not sure about a reading for myself, or I think I'm like reading into it too much, or I think I'm, kind of trying to soothe my ego, which happens, I go into my little white book. And I pop the meanings out, or I read a book. I pick up like 78 Degrees of Wisdom all the time. And I'm like, okay, well, Rachel Pollack says it means this, so it must mean that. And I should stop fooling myself. But that's how I stay objective. But I write everything down. I have notebooks spanning years of readings. Oh my God, the stuff I used to read about is so silly. But I did it, and I wrote down everything. And that's how I stay objective. Darren says, are we talking about tarot or weed? I don't remember what comment that is. That's pertaining to, but I'm almost never talking about weed. Hi, Pamela. Hey, Shannon. Shaylee, on your question, or on the end of your question, you said you asked your friends to help you practice. You just didn't expect so many. Oh, honey, when you're giving away free readings, people come out, you find new friends. No, I'm just kidding. The stress of so many makes you feel foggy. Do you think cleansing your cards might help retune into your energy? It's possible. So that doesn't generally work for me because it's just not something that I've ever done. But if the ritual, I am a big fan of ritual. And so if the ritual of sitting down, maybe putting your cards in order, or sitting with some incense, or like right now I have candles and incense going, and that kind of helps rejuvenate me and helps me get me going. So whatever little ritual, it could be a bath, it could be anything, reading a book, whatever. If a little ritual will help you tune into your energy and clear up that fogginess, I say go for it. There's plenty. If you look on like Pinterest, or if you even poll the group, there'll be a million different ways you can clean your cards. You can stick them in salt. You can put a crystal on them. People will tell you their favorite crystals to use, that kind of a thing. So if it helps you, go for it. And like I said, don't spread yourself thin. Like, for me, I like doing lots and lots of readings at a party or something like that. But when my friends are always asking me for free things and not valuing my time, I get depleted, and it's hard. It's hard to say no because you love your friends. Thankfully, the people that usually ask me for those things, I either give them freely and I don't mind, or they say, hey, listen, can I take you out to lunch, or can I buy you a coffee? Most people know coffee will get them anything for free from me. So anyway, oh, so many comments, guys. I'm going as fast as I can. Shannon says, I've never done tarot cards, but I have done mediumship. How do you get started, or are some better with certain stuff than other stuff? I think that tarot reading is a skill that you can learn, that anybody can learn. So I think that if you are good at other things like mediumship, that can certainly help you. Getting started is as easy as buying a tarot deck, picking up a book or looking through the little white book that comes with it and learning the meanings. And then using that skill you have with the mediumship, Shannon, to kind of use your intuition with the cards. That will take you very far. And then there's a plethora of things you can do to learn tarot. But I mean, it's a skill. You can learn it just like anybody else. It takes a lot of practice, but it's doable. She says, I used to dislike it too, but I found it helps when reading for others, for me anyways. Yeah, I mean, like I said, any ritual you have may help you, and try something new. You never know. BD Tarot has a great journal that creates a template for doing your own meanings based on intuition. Yeah, that's really great. And also Mary Greer's book, Tarot for Yourself. I forget whose question. I'm sorry. There's so many comments. I forgot. The question about reading for yourself, picking up something like that, that's like a journal workbook. That might help you too. Hi, Tamara. I'm not doing readings. I'm sorry. This is to learn to read tarot. So sorry. Hi, Laura. I'm glad you caught it too. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed them. I love doing them. Oh yeah, Naya says she's reading for someone else and records it, then plays it back to herself to stay objective, or at least you could even spot the the points at which you sound like you're kind of like not being objective. Oh hey, my comments are freezing. Okay, there we go. Hey Marit. Hey, Christine, congratulations to you, my darling. I'm so happy for you. She knows what I mean. Oh, Shaylee, I'm glad you're enjoying this video. I really like doing these. Shannon, you are welcome. Naya says I'm on fire. Ooh, did I get through all the comments? Woo! Did I miss any? I said I had like 30 backed up. Oh, I think we're good. Wow, I caught up. Excellent. So who's got the next question? I'm going to drink my coffee because that was a lot of talking. Sorry, I take this like giant sip of coffee and then I chipmunk cheek it and I look like such a slob. Sorry, guys. Pamela, I have not had that much coffee. I'm in a really good mood right now for some reason. I don't know why. Since today hasn't been the most wonderful day, but I'm in a good mood, so I don't know. The last comment. I'm always afraid somebody's going to take my coffee away from me, so I have to drink it as much as I can. Good mood is good. You can have my energy. I need it for tomorrow too, though, because I have to work. Shannon asks, sometimes I second guess myself. Is that normal? Absolutely. I second guess myself all the time. I try not to beat myself up about it, though. That's the thing. So I have, I deal a lot with something called imposter syndrome, where you know you're good at something, you know you've practiced something, you really know your shit, and then when it comes time to do it, you're like, oh, everybody's gonna think I'm a phony. So that kind of like eats you up a little bit, gives you a little anxiety. I deal with that all the time. But I tell that part of myself to shut up, especially when it comes to tarot. I've been doing it a long time. I know a lot of stuff. And so I just keep that the front of my brain, and I do my thing, and that's it. That's what I do. So yeah, it's totally normal. But teaching yourself to shut up that part of your brain is hard, but worth it. Hey, RC, you're not that late. Laura asks, how do you look at cards that are negative and possibly upsetting and tell the querent about them? That's another thing that I struggle with too. I don't like to be the bearer of bad news. I don't like to tell people, I don't like to sell poop sandwiches. It's tough for me. It's always been tough for me. It's been tough for me in my corporate job. It's been tough for me in, my family life, and it's tough for me in tarot. But I make a promise to every client that I have, or every person that I read for, or every friend that I sit down and do tarot for, that I will be honest. And I remind myself that if I'm not honest, if I'm not telling them if something that I see is bad, that's not being honest. And that to me is like the biggest faux pas you can make. So you have to commit to be honest. There are ways of tactfully delivering poop sandwiches to people, and putting the negative, the negative in not a positive light, because, it's not positive, but saying, trying to help them and comfort them, and help them deal with something like that. So there's ways to do that. Lots of, I've read a lot of psychology books on how to do things like that. I'm still not great at it. But like I said, I promised every person that I read for that I will be honest. And sometimes you have to sell a poop sandwich. I hope that answers your question, Laura. Oh, Naya asked, do I have any Halloween tarot things that I do spreads? No, I don't. Back when I was like a good practicing witch, I used to do the whole Samhain ritual and circle and all that stuff. But since my focus has kind of changed in my later years, I don't really do anything Halloween related for tarot. I do like to use my spookier decks. I love the Halloween Oracle for this time of year. It's just really cool. But no, I don't. Do you have any that you use that are really cool that you could share with us? Because that would be awesome. Ashley says meditating and clearing the mind helps her with second guessing. That's awesome. Yeah, it's if meditating is something that can help you, I definitely say going for it. Calming yourself and centering yourself is always a good thing to do. Shannon says, how do you better? Do you mean how do you get better? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you mean? Just practice. That's all I got. Shaylee says, I try to put a positive spin on the cards, and that's great. That's great as long as you're not being overly positive. If you see in the cards that somebody's going to have financial trouble, for example, don't say, maybe you should go buy yourself a car. Like, as long as you're not doing it that way, then you're perfect. As long as you're being honest, while still making things sound okay, then that's okay. I like that. RC, thank you. Hi, Crystal. Yeah, Shaylee says it's good for them to know this because it's better for them in the long run, and I use the cards around it that are good. That's an excellent point. Nothing is ever totally good or totally bad. And so remembering that is helpful, and also framing it with the things that they can do to get over those things, or the things that are positive, will help. And it's never helpful for anybody in any situation, tarot, just being a friend, whatever, it's never good to say, oh, everything's going to be okay when it might not be okay. Like telling them so that they can be prepared and so that they can adjust and learn from whatever mistake is happening is always good. And framing it in a good light is excellent. That's a good point, Shaylee. Thank you for bringing it up. Tactfully delivering poop sandwiches, Nio wants on a shirt. I learned that from way back when I first became, when I first got into management, and I was learning how to successfully write somebody up. The person that was teaching me told me it was stacking the shit sandwich. I forgot how they put it, but it was like good thing, poop, and then good thing. And so the shit sandwich kind of stayed in my whole life. Sorry, it's not the most tactful phrase, but Chloe says, I like to also emphasize that this is the path when you shuffled, and even discussing it can give a different trajectory. That's a really interesting point too, because obviously if they're coming to you for a tarot reading, they have something that they want guidance on or clarification on, or they want to change in their life. So just sitting down and making that and having that realization can change things, right? The future isn't fixed. It doesn't exist. It's not there yet. And so just saying, I want to do something different can make things different. Obviously, it takes work, but Chloe has an excellent, excellent point. So that's also another good thing to say to a client or to somebody that you're reading for. Laura asks, can I recommend any psychology books? So I really liked Arthur. I think it's called Tarot and Psychology. And I can't remember the author's name. His name is Arthur something, but he talks a lot about Jung. Jung writes a lot of good books. And later in his career, he talked a lot about tarot, and that's kind of what kind of got him ousted from circles. Tarot and Psychology. I'm going to find that Tarot and Psychology book. Hang on. I think it's Arthur Rosengarten. Yeah. Arthur Rosengarten. I'm going to show you. That's what the book looks like. Tarot and Psychology. That was an excellent book. That is from a practicing psychologist who uses tarot in his therapy. And doesn't necessarily subscribe to the more esoteric schools of tarot, but definitely uses it in his psychology practice. You might want to check that book out. I found it for like $10 on the Kindle. Yeah, any book on psychology will help. Just learning about the brain, because tarot is all archetypes, and it's all the way it works is the fact that we deal with all of these things every day. We think about these things every day. And it's made to mirror the minutia of our lives and the big things in our lives. Psychology, any psychology will help. Antoinette asks, have you had any success in pulling more cards to ask for guidance on how to navigate the challenge? So, so yes and no. I am not a fan of pulling clarification cards, right? If you decide to do a spread, whatever you decide to do, you decide to do 3 cards, or you decide to do a Celtic cross, or you decide to do the hot new spread you saw on Pinterest that's shaped like a pumpkin, doesn't matter. If you decide to do that spread, I think that all of the information that you need to know is contained in that spread. And that's what you should rely on. And if you don't know the answer from just those cards, You should sit with it. You should journal about it. You should think about it more. But pulling cards for clarification often muddies the answer. It often brings up other things. It often has too many words or too many voices. So sometimes it's okay to maybe pull one or maybe pull two cards to clarify, but I'm not a huge fan of clarification cards. Antoinette, I hope that that's what you were asking for, and if I can make that any clearer, let me know in the comments. Naya says, I don't really have a spread specific to Halloween for her question before, but I do notice I get a lot of requests for ancestor or past life readings. Yeah, I've noticed that really lately. A lot of people have been into like really connecting with ancestors and past lives very recently. And maybe that's just it. Maybe it's like the thinning of the veil type of a thing, and they want to you know, connect to that side of themselves. And I think that's cool. Damon asks, can you explain the use of oracle cards and shadow cards briefly? So oracle cards are any type of cards that you could use for cartomancy that do not have a specific system. So they're not tarot, because tarot has a very specific system of 78 cards, major arcana, minor arcana, 4 suits, 1 through 10, 4 core cards in each suit, that kind of a thing. That's the very specific tarot system. So oracle is pretty much anything that does not follow that system. And I can tell you the way that I use them. I like to use them in conjunction with tarot, because tarot is because tarot has a system, it is, to me, the most concise psychological view of your life. And so using the pack of 78 cards the way that they were designed, to me, is the most efficient way to get an answer via cartomancy. Oracle cards are pretty and they're fun, and I like to use them as like overall messages or to add some sort of guidance, and I will use them especially with larger tarot spreads to just kind of give an overall. So that's how I use them. But they're just cool. They just have pictures. They can be anything that the artist set them out to be. And they usually come with books to help you learn the meanings. I have a couple of decks that I use all the time that I kind of know the meanings, but almost all of them I have to refer to books, whereas tarot I don't necessarily at this point. So, and then shadow cards briefly is a shadow card is, or doing shadow work is really listening to the messages that you necessarily don't want to hear. So a shadow card might be something that's hard for you to deal with, or something that you haven't dealt with in the past and is now coming up. So for example, you could be doing a spread about your relationship, and the Hierophant could be coming up, and you could realize that in your youth, possibly you had, this is totally hypothetical, guys, you had some issues with authority, and that's what's causing the relationship issue now. So that's what a shadow card is. A shadow card is something that lets you deal with something that's a little less comfortable. Some shadows are, as easy as, why am I being a bitch today? And some shadows are like, why do I have this drug addiction? Like they run the gamut from shallow to deep. So, so you could do shadow work in that way. There's a couple of good books that I recommend for that. Christine Jett wrote a book called Tarot Shadow Work, and Living the Kabbalistic Tarot by Amber Jayanti is another really good one for, especially if you like to journal, is a really good one for exploring shadow aspects of personal readings. So Damon asked that question, but Shannon also followed up. So I hope that you got that answer. Excuse me. Naya says her first reading was a major poop sandwich show, and promising I would be honest was the best thing. It resonated with the person, and for them to hear it out loud from someone else helped. them to make more sense of the situation. I was freaking out as a new reader, but the confirmation that it ultimately helped was worth it for me. Hey, Meg. Pamela put up a link to Amazon. So I'm guessing that's for the psychology book. I still read. I use playing cards sometimes when I like to kind of. I think that's why I like Marseille decks so much, because it kind of frees you from the imaging, and poker cards do the same thing. I have a couple of really sweet decks that a friend just gave me. Damon says any used Psych 101 college textbook is great. Yeah, absolutely. Anything that's going to give you the basics or give you a little bit of insight into how people's brains work, I'm for it. Shaylee says I use one, but I try not to use more than one. I'm guessing you're talking about, I'm sorry, I'm so far behind that I have to guess what people are talking about. Sorry, guys. I'm guessing you're talking about the clarification cards. And yeah, I will use one or two, but I know people who will deal out a spread and then put a clarification for every card, and that just muddies the water. Just read what you have. Shaylee says I've done one past life reading, and for gender got the Six of Wands, which leads me to believe I had a lot. And the entire reading was very confusing. I've done exactly one past life reading as well. That's not my forte. I know people that are way better at it, so when people ask me for it, I usually refer them to the readers that I know that are really good, like Naya. So I've only done one, and I was really just practicing, and this girl said, this is what I want. And I was like, all right, well, I don't really do it, but I'll try for you. And she's like, sure, cool. And I thought it was a really cool reading, and I got a lot of information out of it. And I don't know how I feel about past lives. It's just not something I think about. And so I was really surprised at how much it brought to light. I thought that was really cool. RC, I've seen a lot of past life spreads around, and what I used was, for the reading that I did, was the woman was asking how was her past life affecting her present life. So I did a row on top, a row on bottom, and a few cards in the middle to kind of bridge them. So that's what I used. I'm sure you can find tons of spreads, tons of ancestry spreads. Shannon says, I have a question that I've been wondering for years. Someone did a tarot reading on my dad and told him that he would die at 55, but my mom ended up passing at 55. Is that weird? And anyway, can you explain that? So I can't explain why specifically the events happened in that way. I can say that I don't generally use tarot for prediction. A little bit I do. I don't want to say not at all. And I'm definitely not dismissing it when people can. Some people are just better at it than I am. Because I don't personally believe that the future has happened. I do believe that you can see things, how they might unfold. And so this person might have been seeing somebody dying at 55 and saying, and just making a conviction and saying this is going to be your dad, when in fact they were wrong, or something happened and that switched. So that would be my explanation, is that they saw something, and either the events switched and the future unfolded in a different way, or what they saw was not what they thought they saw. And that happens sometimes. It does. I love the Thoth deck too. It's one of my faves. All right, I think I'm caught up on comments, guys. Who's got the next question? I hope I'm answering these well. or, you know, to helping you understand better. Shaylee says, I tell people not to ask about health and life expectancy. I'm just not comfortable with those. Plus, time is fluid and ever changing. I agree with you. I don't read for health. That's not true. I will read for health, but I will always say that I am not a doctor. But I do kind of have a knack of seeing where people's ailments are. And so I do sort of read for health. However, I'm married to a lawyer, and so he makes me tell people that I'm not a doctor, so we don't get sued. All right, who's got the next question? Oh, you're welcome, guys. I love doing this. Like I said, I don't know everything, but it's fun. Yeah, a lot of people ask about love and money. The two, that's called bread and butter when you're a tarot reader, especially if you're a tarot reader professionally. It's called bread and butter. And no matter how many times people ask, it may be something you've heard a million times, but it might be new for them. So I always try to treat each person as a new thing and give them the answers that will help them in their lives. So I don't think I can predict an accident. No, I don't think I can predict anything. I don't think the future has happened. And so I can see generally in my readings, I can see where things are headed. And so if you know somebody's doing something or having a particularly destructive behavior, I will say, hey, listen, if you don't slow your roll, this might happen. But I don't think I've ever predicted a specific incident, you know. You're welcome, Ashley. So I'll tell you guys my little bit of a spiel, because we're at like 47 minutes. I don't know how much longer I'm going to go. We'll see. We'll see how long my coffee lasts. But for those of you guys that are joining for the first time, if you think of any questions, I try to do this once a week, but if you think of any questions, feel free to message me. You can always message me. However, I always tell people the best thing to do is tag me in a post in Tarot Nerds. This way, if I don't know the answer, other people can answer. And even if I do have an answer for you, other people may have a different perspective. I'm just one person. I know what I know, and I'm happy to share all of that, but I am not every person in the world. So you got the advantage of 40,000 people asking that are usually willing to help you. So tag me and I will answer your questions always, or message me if you don't feel comfortable doing that. But keep asking questions. I'm literally on my phone all the time, and I'm always in Tarot Nerds. That's pretty much the only thing I'm doing when I'm on my phone. So I will find your question and I will answer. So feel free, if you have questions later, to go ahead. RC says, I do a daily 3-card reading. I do a daily 2-card reading. I usually post mine, but sometimes I don't. Maria says, for me, it's difficult at times to join cards and interpret them. What's your trick to do it? So interpreting cards together is the most important skill you can learn in tarot, because and here's where I'll get into, this is why I don't like doing single card readings or pulling just one card for a day, because so if you think about it, you have 78 cards. If you read reversals, it doubles however many meanings you can have. But if you read cards in pairs or in threes or in conjunction with other cards, you have an infinite amount of meanings. And so it's very important to learn that skill. So what I do is I practice. It doesn't have to be for any type of reading. It can be for a question that you made up. It could be in the group. It could be while you're watching TV. I play a little game that Dusty White, who wrote a couple of amazing books, has an amazing podcast, and does amazing teaching videos. Dusty White put in one of his books where you just put 2 cards down and look at them. You don't have to have some sort of lofty meaning. 2 cards together might just mean, you went to the store, or you have to clean your bedroom, or something like that. They think about all of the things that it could mean. It could mean, like I said, cleaning your bedroom. It could mean doing laundry. It could mean reading a book. But figure out all the different things that they could mean to you. And then when they come up together in a reading, you will already have a base of knowledge. So just throw down those cards and practice. You don't have to ask a question. You don't have to do anything. Just practice, practice, practice. That's always my go-to. And then if you look for, I'll find the hashtag for you, or if somebody knows the hashtag and can throw it in chat. There's daily combos. So Angie and myself used to do daily combos, and we've kind of gotten so busy that Sherry has joined us. And so Sherry has been putting daily combos up every day for you guys to practice. I'm not sure if they're in the units or not yet. I can check on that for you guys, but I know there's a hashtag. I think it's TN card combos. So hashtag TN card combos, and there's tons of practice. There's all the ones that Angie and I did, and then there's all the new ones that Sherry's doing. So definitely check that out. That's a good way to practice too. If you don't want to throw them down yourself, having them there for you. Plus you get to see a lot of pretty decks, which is always good. Damon asks, have I ever done a reading that disturbed me to the point where I had to take a break? Yes. Sometimes, especially if the reading is very of a very, like, not delicate, I would say, but very intense subject matter. There have been times where I'll get so into a reading where I don't know I don't want to say I don't know where I am, but I kind of blank out, and I'll just talk and do the reading, and then later I don't generally remember it, but I know there's a couple of times that people who've been witnessing it say, like, you had to stop, or you had to, like, you just shut down for a minute. So yeah, if it's really intense, I will shut down, and not necessarily of my own volition. So sometimes they get intense. Sometimes I cry with the people that I'm reading for. Like, just recently, I did some readings for some friends that I've known for a really long time. We don't hang out all the time, but they wanted me to come over and do some readings with them. And, it was very upsetting, some of the things that we were talking about, and and I got upset too, just because it's hard to see my friends hurt, but I'm also fairly empathic. And so things that other people feel, I feel too. That's why I like to do online readings instead of face-to-face, because it's just, I get a little bit of a block with a computer screen. So I do have to take a break every once in a while. I do have to stop doing readings for a couple. Sometimes I have to put my cards away for a couple of days and just do other things. So yeah, and it's important and healthy if you need that to do it. Oh, RC, you had more to your comment. You say, I do daily 3-card reading for myself at the beginning in the morning, and I got a really strange one a week ago. I drew the Queen of Swords, the Empress, and the Queen of Pentacles, and that reading still bugs me. So much estrogen. Yeah, it's also important to remember, though, that just because the card is a female, it doesn't necessarily have to be female energy. It can be male energy too. And what always helps me thinking about the court cards that way is their elements. So you have water of air for the Queen of Swords. And you have Water of Earth for the Queen of Pentacles, and then you have Earth for the Empress. And so I like to think about those things and how those inform the reading as well. So that might be something to think about. Adriana asks, how do you know when you're ready to begin giving readings? You are ready, my dear. Try it out. See where you are. Learn from how you do. If you mean talking about, if you're talking about reading for others, just try it. If you feel comfortable enough to try it, and if you feel comfortable enough with screwing up, because you might not be great at it at first. It takes a lot of practice. Ashley, is it okay? Ashley asks, is it okay to read only one per day at first? I have only done 3 card pulls for specific questions that I've had. My daily single card pulls have been on point with what is going on with my life, and have given me so much food for thought that I don't know if I have enough time or energy to process more than 1 card daily, unless I'm looking for something specific. That's totally fine, Ashley. If 1 card is what you need right now, and especially if you're new, because I think you said to me before that you were new, that's a 1 card is really a great way to connect with the cards in your deck, to remember and carry that card throughout the day, and so you'll remember the picture or whatever it is that triggers your brain to know the meanings later. It's totally fine, especially if you're new, and it's great. It's good to journal about it. It's good to process them singly. What I was saying about reading the cards in conjunction with others, I mean, doing readings. If you're doing 3 card readings, that's fine. If you're just talking about your daily card, 1 card is fine. 1 card is fine. You don't have to do what anybody else does. You do what you're comfortable with. And when you feel like you want to try more, try it. If you try it and you don't like it, using 2 cards or 3 cards like RC does, if you try it and you don't like it, go back to 1. You do your thing. You're welcome, Damon. My mouse is being super specific today. Yeah, baby steps. It's you learn how you learn. Everybody learns differently. Me, I'm an autodidact. If somebody's standing up at the front of a classroom and telling me what to read and telling me what to learn, I suck. I almost failed out of so many classes in college and in high school because I hate learning what other people teach me. But if somebody tells me, if somebody piques my interest in a subject and I go to the bookstore and buy like 50 books on the thing, I'll learn it till the ends of the earth, and I'll learn it well. And you could give me a test on it and I'll be great. But if you told me to learn it, nope, won't do it. So you learn how you learn. And if 1 card is what makes sense to you right now, you do it. RC says, I find the tarot is very supportive to beginner readers. I believe the tarot wants you to be good as long as you take it tarot seriously. Yeah, I mean, there is a certain amount of seriousness that comes with it, and understanding what you're learning and what you're doing. There's fun too, and there's not one exclusionary of the other, such as everything in life. But yeah, it is a long process, and I'm still learning. And like I said, I've been doing it for well more than half my life at this point. And so, I often say that 50% of the reason I do, probably more than that, 75% of the reason that I do these Q&As is to figure out how to teach, right? So I read a quote a long time ago that said, we teach to learn what we know. And that's so very true of myself. Like, if somebody asks me a question and I have to answer a question, it's so much easier for me to answer a question than it is to formulate in my own brain how I think and feel about something. And so I do these things because they help me learn too. So it's a 2-way street, friends. Oh, I didn't mean to unlike that after I liked it. All right, guys, we're at about an hour, but I still have some coffee left. So if you got more questions, throw them in. Sorry, I'm answering texts. What you got for me, guys? Ooh. Naya asks when I'm coming out with a deck. Never. Never. I will never have the discipline necessary. I have painted exactly one card, and that's it. And that's likely all I'll ever do. I don't know where it is, or I'd show you guys. Naya, when are you coming out with a deck? One that teaches me astrology. Yeah, I don't know where it is, or I'd show you. It's probably, hang on a sec, I'll look. If it's right here, I'll show you. I don't think it's right here, though. Oh, hey, there's that folder I was looking for. Hey, you guys help me find a folder. Yeah, no, it's not right here. I'm sorry. I don't know where it is. Maybe I'll find a picture of it and post it in Tarot Nerds. RC says, what decks is everyone using for Halloween? I'm finally using my Vampire Tarot by Robert Place. I have been using, what have I been using for Halloween? I don't think I stuck with anything. I really should be using something really cool and dark. I haven't even picked up my Deviant Moon. What's everybody else using? Tell us your Halloween deck. Naya, you should do like a Redbubble, not a Redbubble. What's that? Society 6 or something for the chick with the ice cream planets. Because I kind of want a shirt with the chick with the ice cream planets on it. I meant to tell you that. Oh yeah, the Antique Anatomy. I have not played with that enough. I got sidetracked. Maria says she bought the Santa Muerte. I have the Santa Muerte. I'm actually I'm in the process of selling it though because I like it, but I never use it. It's so pretty. I love Fabiola Strani's art. I liked the Night Sun Tarot, and I really love this one, but I never used them. So hopefully they're moving on. Boop. Mildred Payne's Pocket Oracle. I am loving Mildred Payne's Oracle of Black Enchantment. That's a good bring up, Chloe. The Black Enchantment Oracle is really cool, and it looks really awesome with it looks really awesome with the Trionfi della Luna. So I got my cards because I promised Chloe I would do a 3-card. Oh, the Deviant Moon Oracle's coming out soon. I can't wait for that business. That's super awesome. He keeps putting up pictures every day. Okay, so for those of you who weren't around the first time I did the 3-card sampler, I kind of showed how I read things in an elemental way. So I pull 3 cards. I do the middle one first, and then I put one on either side. And then I show how the 2 cards on either side either tell the middle card whether it's kind of like upright or reversed, for lack of a better term. So somebody throw me a practice question, and I will deal some cards. And I will show you guys how I do a 3-card reading. Hey, Natalie. Hey, Joe. No, Naya, Darren already asked about his twin flame. You missed it. All right, RC, we'll use your question. What's your weekend looking like? Okay, so you guys aren't going to see this, but I'll hold them up. Okay, so the first card that I drew was the World. And then the second card I drew was the 3 of Cups. And the last card that I drew was the Knight of Cups. So how I would read these elementally is these 2 cards are water and water, right? So they are bolstering the card in the middle. They're basically telling me that the card in the middle is extra meaningful, and it's extra not positive, but it extra means what it actually means. So if the card's negative, it means it's extra negative, unfortunately. So Cups and Cups, both water cards, will tell me that the world means what it truly means. Truly, that's a better way to put it. So it looks like this weekend for you may be full of things coming to a close, or things, some cycles renewing, or some fresh start for yourself. And then I would look at these other 2 cards and see what how their element will mix with the card in the middle. So this card is an earth card, and water and earth are friends. So these are they're all kind of like mixing and holding each other up. So the 3 of Cups is abundance, and the King or Knight of Cups is talking about how you're going to maybe it'll be a romantic weekend. Maybe it will be a weekend with friends that you love and that really rejuvenate your creativity. And so that's how I would read that. And so maybe you will have a weekend full of positive love and abundance, and maybe spend it with some people that are fun and really rejuvenate you, rather than some people that might kind of drain you, like some people can. So Chloe, I hope you were here to see that. And if anybody else has any other questions about how I do those types of readings, throw them down and I will answer. I hope that made sense. Yeah, recreation. That's definitely a good way to put that. Like something that's fun and something that's really going to, like I said, rejuvenate you in a way. Ooh. You're welcome, Marcy. You're welcome, Ashley. So if you guys haven't been here, if this is your first thing, in some of my other tarot Q&As, I've talked about elemental dignity. It's a really fun way to learn how to read cards. I don't usually read reversals with it because I don't really need them when I read elemental dignity. I can use words, guys. I promise I'm smart. So there's a few rules to learn, but they're short and sweet, and that's how I did those readings. So water and earth are friends, fire and air are friends, fire and earth cancel each other out. Oh no, I'm sorry. Fire and water cancel each other out. Fire and earth are not really friendly, but they're kind of neutral. Air and earth are kind of neutral. Air and water are kind of neutral. And then, no, I'm sorry. Air and earth are friends. See, I don't ever remember the rules either. So, but there's only a few rules to remember. And there's some really great books about it. So if it's something you're interested in learning, tag me in the group and I'll give you links to books. Always practice, practice, practice. See, it's a skill that I only recently picked up, so definitely requires a lot of practice. Air and earth cancel, fire and water cancel. Thank you, Din. Yeah, and air and fire are friends. Air fuels the fire. Water and earth are friends because water feeds the earth and things grow. But it's always helpful. It's always helpful to remember that just because things are friends doesn't mean it can't kind of swing the other way, right? So if there's too much water in the earth, you get a flood or you get mud. So things like that. That's why elemental dignity makes so much sense to me, because I can kind of think about it as actual physical elements and figure out what happens. So if you dig a hole, there's air in that hole, right? And how does that really inform what you're reading and what you're looking at? So that's why it works for me, and that's why I like it, because I can kind of brain it. All right, guys, we're at an hour and 12 minutes. You guys want to throw in your last questions there, and I will try to answer them. But I think we're gonna come to a close really soon. My throat's getting tired. Shaylee says, my daughter's water and I'm air. She teaches me patience and I push her out of her comfort zone. Absolutely. In my household, everybody's a goddamn Gemini except for me. I'm an Aquarius, so it's all air in my house. It's just a lot of talking. All right, anybody got anything else for me? Oh, Geminis are great. I certainly love them. Kevin. Hey, Kevin. Kevin always asks me Marseille questions, and I love them so much. So Kevin asks, what really sets apart the court cards in Marseille deck from each other? They have similar color schemes. So that is where it is helpful to have to use the elements in reading court cards, but the people in Marseille decks, it's very important to pay attention to what they're facing, what their body parts are doing, what things they're holding in their hands, and which hand they're holding things into. So I think if you look in the Marseille Monday posts, there was a couple of posts about the quadrants of the cards, or like the above and below and the left and the right, and like passive and aggressive and God and man and that kind of a thing, or heaven and earth, that kind of thing. So those things are really helpful when you're looking at court cards in the Marseille to kind of determine what they're doing. So like if the king has a coin in his right hand, it might be that he is a little bit more focused on his money for himself in a passive way, instead of like actively giving his money out or sharing his money. There's many different ways you can interpret that, but how you interpret it is important in relation to like everything that the people are doing. So the coloring in Marseille decks tend to be all the same, and so relying on color, there's a couple of books that have some tricks, and they'll say like why they have a green foot or why they're wearing a red cape, those kinds of things. Jodorowsky, if you don't like Jodorowsky, Ben Dove does some stuff on color work. So there's certain things you can rely on in color, but it's mostly what I do is how they're facing, what they're doing, the above, the below, the left and the right, the active and the passive. I rely very much less on color in Marseille than I do in other decks. So I hope that answered your question, Kevin. If it didn't, let me know. You have a good weekend too, Damon. I hope that you enjoy your hike. Georgie, what is your struggle with the suits? Maybe I can help you. Chloe, were you around when I did the Blacklight Trionfi della Luna readings? That was a ton of fun, and I think I should really do that again. Aw, RC, that's very sweet. I'm glad you join us every week or whenever I get to do it. And if you have Marseille questions, let me know. I would love to help you learn. What do I make of the Marseille Queen of Cups having a small sword? So the Queen of Cups, that's a really cool question, because they talked about that in the Queen of Cups episode of Fortune's Wheelhouse, and I forgot what they said, but it had to do, so for me, if I were reading and the Queen of Cups came up and I noticed that sword, I would make a comment about, you think of the Queen of Cups as water of water, and so all emotion, all feeling, all the elements, all of the parts of that element. But then there's that one little thing. So she's thinking and she's paying attention, and so it may look that like she's driven by her emotions, but she has a reason for them, or her emotions are giving her reason. So she may seem like a crazy helicopter mom, but she really just wants to keep her kids safe, and that's her reasoning. So I think about that little sword as, having influence of the sword suit into that Queen of Cups. So that's what I would do. What does the future of music contain as far as a popular subject in the lyrics? Oh, Naya says I should do the Blacklight readings for Halloween. Maybe. I don't know. I'm supposed to take my son trick-or-treating. Can you tell how excited about that I am? It's cold and I don't like to be outside. I just want to steal his Reese's. All right, guys, I'm gonna end. I'm tired. My throat's getting dry. But thank you guys for joining me. As always, if you have more questions, feel free to message me. I'm always around. Also, tag me if you have questions, and and I will try to answer them. And then if I can't, I will direct you to the person who can. Thank you all for joining me and letting me do this. It's always a ton of fun for me. I love helping you guys out. Thank you to my lovely, lovely assistants that always join me. I love you guys. Bye.